Hi again, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Securish.
We are so on a roll.
We are.
I was going to say we're back, but I said that in the last one. So we are so on a roll.
We are on a roll.
We are on a roll, baby.
To-
A roll, baby. A roll. See what I mean? See when you have ADHD as well. You start making songs out of everything. Okay, we are back. I've just said it again. Today, we are going to be talking about 10 signs to know that you're in an anxious avoidant friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And what signs are. Obviously, we can only talk from our perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So more of like these are things to look out for if you see like yourself or hear yourself in some of the things we say.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go from there. We're going to do 5 each. So it's not 10 because
That's long.
who has the brain capacity to think
Yeah,
of
that's
10
long.
things? So yeah. Do you
Doing
want to go
5
first?
is enough. No, you go first.
No, honey. Oh, well, okay. Why do I have to go first?
You don't have to,
Why do you want me to go first?
so I can think of mine.
That's real. You've thought of them. Okay.
I have, but you know my brain is like a sieve, babe.
I haven't thought of any. Okay. Right.
Winging it. This
So,
is what we do.
Yeah, let's see how we get on with this. 5 signs you're in an anxious, avoidant friendship.
Or we could do one each. You do one, I do one, you do one, I do one.
Okay, I'm just sorry.
No?
The math in my head is just. I'm just gonna do 5.
Okay,
If I
fine.
can.
No, fair enough,
I
fair
like
enough.
the idea, but in my head I'm like,
I'm also
we'll
going to
keep
lose track.
going, and then we'll be here forever, and then I'll have to be editing. But
Fair,
okay.
fair.
We're gonna have to. So far, they are quite loud. Our voices. I'm already wearing microphones, so we're gonna try and tone it down.
You give some skin roll.
So, 5 signs you're in anxious avoidant friendship from an anxious perspective. I think for me, it was the constant need for like reassurance from Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm serious. It was constantly for like, hey, are we okay? We're constantly checking in. Hey, what have I done? Just the incessant need to. It's like my mind would never rest. So it was like constantly messaging her. I'd say would be one, and for reassurance. The second would be like a sense of like not being enough, like a sense of jealousy around her like other friends when she chose to see her other friends, other people, because she has other people in her life. And I would be like, wow, she actually hates me. She wishes me not here anymore. It would be starting for me. I think it would be starting arguments because I know that in the past I had the propensity to start arguments out of nothing because it's like I wanted her to prove that she wanted me in her life. And again, from an anxious perspective, that is wild and just generally because you're not going to get that from an avoidant. And why are you trying to? That should be the question you ask yourself. I didn't ask myself. I ask myself that now because I'm not that person. That's 3. All right, 2 more. I would say just the key to know is that you don't ever like resolve anything. There's no resolution when there's like a, how can I describe this? Whenever there was any form of us going back and forth, any form of disagreement, might not have been an argument. Not everything is an argument. And I thought everything was an argument. When there was disagreement, there was never any sense of, okay, let's talk about how we came to this space, why we are arguing. There was never a sense of like, can we both try and understand each other's point of view and get to a space where we might not agree, but we can say, oh, okay, I know how I got to this place. There was none of that at all. And I think the 5th one would just be the level of enabling and being like yes people. Like when it's like I knew that I can say this now, but looking back in hindsight, when I would like send, and it wasn't just with Sophie, friendship relationships, we'll get into relationship conversations in videos moving forward, but there was no accountability. So it's like just letting the other person everybody has to kind of make their own decisions. They have to get to the space where they need to on their own. Like Sophie says, you have to learn fire's hot by getting burnt. So it was like it was constantly like, I'd ask Sophie a question about something and should I do this? Should I do that? Because I didn't trust myself. And Sophie would be like, yeah, why not? Like there was never any questioning of, no, do you know why you got to that place? Do you know why you want to send that message? Do you know why you want to say that thing? Do you know why you want to like respond now? It was just, yeah, sure, do it. It was like that enabling. There was no like accountability, and there needs to be accountability of self first. But if you have people around you that are just like yes people and are just like, yeah, sure, continue with that poor behavior, continue to make yourself feel terrible, continue to make other people uncomfortable by your incessant like I don't know, poking at them for reassurance from them when you need that from yourself. There was none of that. So I think for me, those were like the five things. Those are five, and those are really good.
I think there is a little bit of overlap as well.
Yeah, with yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially the lack of accountability.
Yeah.
And the just glossing over things just to make things better,
Yeah.
instead of having the uncomfortable conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting.
Thanks. Which part? All of it?
All of it. Everything you
Oh,
say is interesting, darling.
correct.
But no, and again, I think we've had conversations about how I don't I still don't, and I didn't understand that constant need for reassurance, because I was like, bro, and again, it ties into the whole avoidant thing. It's like, I'm here, bro.
I
What
speak
do
to
you
you.
what do you need reassurance for?
Just the fact that you, again, we've had this conversation. The fact that I wanted reassurance from you because I wasn't getting anything.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like, why did I need the reassurance? It's such a weird thing,
Mm,
wild thing when you get out of it and you can see like no amount of asking for reassurance made me feel any better, and
yeah.
no amount of me wanting reassurance made Sophie reassure me. So it was like a never-ending loop.
Mm,
Genuinely, like a never-ending loop.
mm.
Okay, what are your five?
I would say the number one thing was the fear of intimacy and vulnerability. And I don't mean intimacy in a sexual sense. I mean like letting someone get close to you, even though that's the thing you crave the most. So keeping everything kind of like placid, never getting into anything really deep unless you were pushed to. So like messaging, I still have this kind of thing about messaging. Like I find it overwhelming. Find it less overwhelming now, but as an avoidant, having, especially if it was like a paragraph, girl. So you just wouldn't engage. Not responding for weeks, I think, was at my worst.
Oh yeah, like 3 weeks max, maybe more.
Because you don't want to, like, you have this fear of getting into something. And at the time, I didn't know what the fear necessarily was consciously, but subconsciously, it's if I get into depth, into any kind of deep conversation, it's gonna have to like draw out a vulnerability in me, which I'm not willing to do, because that's stupid. Why would I ever be vulnerable? Because again, remember, everyone is a weapon formed against me.
You can dare not.
So you don't really have depth in any kind of conversation, and obviously in a close friendship, that is what you need.
And as someone as deep as me, that is what
Definitely.
I like. And yeah.
So I would avoid all deep conversations, and it would be like, oh, so how are you? What's going on? I'd be like, I'm all right, fine. Anything else to add? No. And obviously, your energy, your demeanor, your facial expressions say the complete opposite. It's like, no, I'm fine. And then the more pushing that would happen, the more I would withdraw. It's like, why are you like, are you not listening to what I'm saying? I said I'm fine. So that's number one. Number two, I would say overcompensation for lack of intimacy. So I had this thing where, because I didn't want to have any conflict, I didn't want any confrontation, I would compensate for that by doing things. So if we would go out, and let's say I was running late, instead of saying, oh, I'm running late because I'm tired, I'm coming from work, I'm whatever reason, I'd be like, oh, drinks on me, or the cab is on me, whether I could afford it or not. Because then again, because you're trying to avoid that vulnerability, avoid having anything more than like a 2-line conversation, it's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll buy drinks. And then 9 times out of 10, that would work.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
It was a great time.
It was a fantastic time.
It was, but also when you're in that space of wanting, like, I'm not even, what am I even talking about? I didn't want anything then. I just wanted more reassurance. So it was fine for me. I could drink. I didn't have to think about whatever, but I still thought about it anyway.
But then that was a really superficial, shallow way of giving that reassurance.
Yeah.
See, I care about you because I'm buying you drinks.
Yeah, because I showed up, even though
Because
I
I
was tired.
showed, because right,
Yeah.
which
Right, like now I'd say I wouldn't expect Soph to come to anywhere after a shift. And I'd be like,
No.
can you rest, please? We can do something another day. Like, that's okay.
And,
anyway,
and
I'm
also
waffling
I
on.
would say,
No.
nah, not today. Nah, I'm
Yeah.
tired.
You do that all the time with things.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll pass this time.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it went, or, you know, come to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's like from a genuine place of, I want you to be rested. I want you to feel like you want to and feel energized enough to be there. Yeah.
And
What's number three?
Number 3 would be a bit of people pleasing, which kind of is the same as number 2, but you don't express how you truly feel ever. So you end up getting into situations where something might be happening that you're not okay with, that you're not comfortable with, but you don't say, hey, I don't like this, I don't want this. You're just like, all right, whatever. But people can feel that though. Like, all right, whatever. No matter what it is, whether it's, oh, do you want to come here? Yeah, sure, whatever. Do you want to do this? Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Oh, Soph, do you like this thing? Yeah. Do I?
No, it's true. Like when I used to be like, oh, do you want to go somewhere or do you want to do this? Soph would say yes to everything.
Everything.
Whether or not she wanted to do it or not. And because, and I feel like sometimes anxiety can make you a bit self-centered and not think about anybody else. There's like a narcissism, I think, in both anxious and
100%.
avoidance, where I was like, I didn't think to myself, does Sophie actually enjoy this? Because I know my friend. It was like, oh, should we do this? And again, because she said yes to everything, I was like, sure, fine. That's not how friendships work. It's about compromise. And that just wasn't a thing.
And speaking of narcissistic tendencies, I think this will lead on to number 4.
Okay.
That you think the way you are is so correct that you come across as a bit, not even a bit, quite judgmental, quite dismissive, quite dismissive, probably more than judgmental. Like I would never really take into account where Nai's feelings were coming from because she had them and I didn't understand that. I was like, well, just stop. Whatever you're doing that's upsetting you, just don't do that thing.
Yeah.
So there was no really investment in thinking about how you felt,
right.
Because again, I'd have to access my emotions, my vulnerability in order to do that. And again, that's not happening. So I'd be quite dismissive. And I would tell me that I'm being dismissive, and I'd be like, well, no, I'm not. I have just got such control of my emotions that you don't understand that you're in distress. I'm not. So be like me.
Wow. Imagine telling someone that they're.
I would never say that.
Thinking about it, because that's how it comes across. It's like, well, you're being so dismissive. And you were like, I'm not. Like, okay, I don't know what you want me to say to that.
Yeah, right.
That was always the response.
I don't know what you want me to say, or, this is how I am.
Well, if I'd ask Sophie for some advice, she'd be like, okay, is it going to matter in like a week or something?
No, then just stop. And then inevitably, when your feelings don't just disappear, I'd be like, why are you still feeling like this? And you're coming back to me with the same thing. I've told you, just stop it. And you haven't just stopped. You haven't just stopped.
Yeah.
What is the problem? And obviously that is not compassionate. That's not empathetic. It's not kind. And, for a long time, I just thought that was who I was. And that concerned me because I was like, am I some kind of sociopath? Because that's not okay. But when you push your feelings down for so long, you forget how to access them. And then when you don't access them, you don't know how to relate to somebody else's feelings. So in my mind, I was trying to help you.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, I care about you, so just stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you stop doing what you're doing, you'll feel fine.
Just made me
be like me.
Just made me feel worse, to be honest. It did.
Yeah.
But then it did make me feel worse because, again, I can't blame you and your insecure attachment. I can't blame anyone, but it's like our insecure attachments are just like pinging off each other.
Oh my gosh.
So you cannot
every day.
You cannot grow a friendship, a healthy friendship, or any form of ship in insecure attachment. It just doesn't work. You just deplete yourself. No matter how much you try and convince yourself that you can, that you're fine, that oh no, I'm just not going to be anxious anymore. You still are, because the person who you're, the opposite person, is avoidant, so their avoidancy is going to trigger your anxiety and vice versa. Okay.
And then the last one, shutting down. Emotional shutdown. When you're with someone that you care about, whether that's family, friends, a partner, again, you need to have a level of emotional intimacy, a level of vulnerability. And for me, that was always too scary, too big, too frightening. So anything that will come up, and this will come up in arguments, or it would come up in, events where I would go with Nine, there was so much whatever, fun, joy, love, it all just felt too much for me. So I would shut down. I wouldn't make eye contact with anyone because I didn't want anyone to see the fact that I was shutting down, because then they would ask me, like, are you all right? Don't ever ask me if I'm all right, because the answer is no, but the answer I would say is yes. Then that means that you don't enjoy anything. And the people around you know when you're actually enjoying something or not.
But that's the thing. You say this, but when you're anxious, you're not thinking about how the other person's feeling, because all you want to do is have the other person soothe you. So you're not looking at how they're feeling. Like I said, selfishly, back then, it was like, well, if you're going to say yes to everything, then why would I continue to not? Why would I stop asking you to do these things with me? Do you know what I mean?
And in my mind,
that's not fair, by the way.
But in my avoidant mind, I was like, if I go to these things with you, then you won't message me.
Wow.
And you won't think that I hate
that.
I've just thought of it just
That's
now.
That's crazy. That's the first time So's ever said that. Really?
Yeah, because I because of the reassurance thing, I would feel like if I spend actual time with you, because when I was working shifts, we didn't actually spend a whole lot of time together. And then when like you would come round, I was always half asleep. Tired. So anytime that you were like, oh, so do you want to do this thing? Because I would never really initiate anything like that. I'd be like, okay, yes. So if I say yes, then now I will feel reassured. It wasn't that level of cognition. So then that will save on the messages that I'm not going to respond to. That's going to make an argument that I'm then going to have to deal with.
Wow. That train of thought is wild.
It is wild.
That's crazy.
But again, I would never express that to you. That I feel overwhelmed.
Gosh, back then, that would have really hurt. Like to hear that. Do you know what I mean? But then, would it have? Like, I'm just thinking, in an anxious mind, would it have hurt me back then? Like hearing that, I just don't think I would have cared.
I think we would have argued.
Yes, and not spoken about why. It's so hard to put into words because I understand what you're saying. I said that's a wild thing to say, but I also understand it from that perspective. But even like I said in the previous video, even if you had like a fantastic day and you did come, I'd still be like, replay all the things that happened. Did I do these things? And then I'd still message you anyway. So that doesn't even, I didn't, the premeditation of you thinking that subconsciously.
But it wasn't even a premeditated thought. Now that I'm thinking back on it, none of this is premeditated.
Right.
No, I'm not sitting. I don't think, I can only speak for myself, but I don't think any anxious or avoidant person, and correct me if I'm wrong, sits down and thinks, I'm going to do this thing in order to get this result. Like consciously. No?
Some anxious people, I don't know. I did. Some things I did.
Okay.
I'm okay. So real.
Okay.
So I could get what I wanted because I wanted that love. I wanted to feel, it wasn't even love. I wanted to feel that love. So it's like, if I say this, then maybe this person will feel bad enough to do it with me.
Oh.
Yeah. So you don't want to go with me then?
So
that's the thing. So you... so you're going out with your friends and you don't really... You see that?
Oh, right,
so
right.
That's front. That's what I used to do. I don't like admitting it because I'm very, very self-aware. I'm very intelligent. So when I think right now, to have used my intelligence in that way, to get some sort of faux reassurance love is awful. And if you do those things, try and stop. Not try and... Okay, ask yourself why you do it. And when I say try and stop, I'm not going to be like, oh, you should know. It's more like a question why. Question yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it, but question why you do those things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's not healthy. And you do not get any reassurance, any outcome of what you want within yourself because you feel bad. Because instantly when I used to do that, I felt bad. I was like, well, what are you doing it for now? And then I'd be so anxious. I wouldn't even sit with it long enough to even ask myself why. You'll be like, well, you're going out with your friends. You don't rate me. You don't care about me. So you must think this thing. And then, but I'd always have this sense of, again, of morality of what is wrong and right, because instantly I feel bad and then I'd apologize. I was actually sorry. But
Mm.
it's like that loop of you say sorry, I am actually sorry, but I just don't know how to stop my mind from telling me that this person doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
But it's also not, when you're anxious, you can't ask for what you need because you don't know what you need,
Yeah.
because it all comes from the other person out
Mm.
externally. So
Mm.
it's like a loop, you know. Does
And
that
then
make sense?
it does make
I
sense.
I I I I wish it didn't make sense because it's not healthy how I was. Okay.
It makes sense to me, obviously, because of the journey
Sure.
we've been on, and
Mm.
like I would say something similar, but in reverse. So
Okay.
for me, it was all internal. I
Mm.
couldn't tell you what I wanted or what I needed from you because I was too scared to be that vulnerable.
Right.
So instead of saying, Nai,
Mm.
I'm too tired today, or I'm just not in the mood today,
No,
or
you can't come around today.
I just don't want to
Yeah.
today. That to me was too vulnerable to share with you. So
Mm.
if I just do it, that's like banking time. And then
Wow.
hopefully
Okay.
that will not even soothe you because I always wanted to spend time with you.
But it's also hard to want to spend time with someone who's constantly not
That
enjoying the
did,
present.
oh, you're talking about
I'm talking to
yourself.
myself, yeah.
But you
That
see, I didn't think about that.
you see, and now I'm talking. I'm me saying that. I'm talking from a secure-ish perspective because that can't have been a lovely space to be in. Do you know what I mean?
But now that I think about it, I never thought about how my cold demeanor
Mm.
would like affect other people.
Yeah.
I just thought this is the best version of me that I can be for other people because the real me is so sad and broken and like
Oh.
that no one would want to be around me. So at least if I shut it all down and package it up, then at least that is a better version. But then the longer you think like that, the more you think, well, this is working.
Yeah.
So everybody should be like this.
You convince yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've cracked the I've cracked the code.
That's outrageous.
So then I'd want to be around you because if I didn't, we wouldn't be here today.
True.
Um,
Very true.
I wanted to be around you, but again, when you're so rocked by your own internal turmoil, you don't want to be put in a position where that vulnerability could be pulled out of you. And if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be Nai. Yeah? Nobody else that I had that level of friendship with, I didn't have that level of friendship with anyone but Nai. I still don't. But she was the one who would, if anybody could, she would. So in my mind, that wasn't a safe space to be in.
Was like, oh, you see me, bro.
Yeah, stop it. But you wouldn't stop it.
Yeah, and the more you was like, I was like, well, what's wrong? And you see, I made it about me. I was like, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with me at all. And it's the
It was
insecure
never about you.
attachments. It's the insecure attachments.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. But it doesn't feel like that in the moment. It feels like the opposite. It feels like everything is wrong with me because this person does not want to be around me. But yeah, I always want to be around you.
Yeah.
Even in all that anxiety, because you're a beautiful, kind person. Do you know what I mean? Like it's wild, you guys.
I feel like all we needed to do was just have one honest conversation back in the day.
Honest.
Yeah.
You and me.
Yeah.
Ooh, back then, no, sorry, no.
It wouldn't have worked.
I
But
don't even know how we were like. I don't even know how we could call ourselves friends. We have said that
we weren't.
we actually have been friends. We've known each other for nearly 30 years this year, but we've actually been friends for what, properly, the last
3 years.
3 years?
Maybe no, 4 years. 4 years.
From 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with that.
That's saying a lot. So if you're in a friendship and you kind of you feel like you see yourself or heard yourself in any things we've said, like it's okay to have the conversation, even if it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. Uncomfortability doesn't last. What I've realized with emotions is that if you feel a strong emotion coming up, give yourself 2 minutes. The emotion will pass in 2 minutes. If you give yourself that minute to just sit with what you're feeling. And if you don't have the capacity or you have a conversation, it's getting here to say, let's park this. I can feel myself getting a bit, flustered or annoyed or whatever. Can we come back to it? It's okay to take that time for yourself.
And then also actually come back to it. That's also important because if you're going through the process of coming out of avoidancy and you make those first steps of starting to express how you feel. And as Nai said, it starts to get a bit much and you need to take a minute. That's fine. But you also need to come back to the original root, because then you're still avoiding.
By not coming back to the
But
conversation.
by not coming back to the conversation. And actually the true growth, I feel like in me recently, is being able to come back to things and not just be like, oh, I need a minute, and then just not do anything about it.
Yeah.
That's like step 0.5. To complete step 1, you need to go back and have that conversation, because then you're forcing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Once you do it once, it's actually just really, it's not really easy. I'm not going to be flippant, but it's easier to do it again.
It gets easier. Things get easier the more you do it. That's with everything, isn't it?
It does.
So if you're like frightened of something, you of course you're scared of it the first time. You're nervous, but you keep doing it. You build a muscle. It's neuroplasticity. It's building new neural pathways in your brain. That's essentially what we're doing. That we hope that these videos are helping you do. If you find yourself in those sort of friendships or relationship dynamics, like, you're okay, you're safe, you know.
Girl,
I know. We're all safe here. I was about to say we're all float too, but
no.
I love.
You're too good at that now.
Hiya, Georgie.
You're too good. You are way too good at that. At the same time, if there is someone that you value in your life, it doesn't have to be a best friend. It can be a partner, because in my mind, all relationships have the same foundation, and then it just sort of branches off depending on who they are: friend, family, romantic. Whoever that you feel the closest to, or the closest people in your life, allow yourself even 1 second of vulnerability. It makes all the difference. It doesn't matter whether the other person is avoidant. It doesn't matter if the other person is anxious. It doesn't matter if they're secure. Actually, it's more about trusting yourself with that vulnerability, because then somebody else can feed off of it.
Agreed. Yeah, that's great.
And you don't need to constantly reassure.
No.
But show up.
And you don't always need reassurance. Reassure yourself.
Facts. Mic drop. Yeah, my G.
We hope those 10 signs, was it?
Oh my gosh, we actually did 10.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So good.
We're gonna
wrap it.
Wrap what?
Wrap it up. The video, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter.
We'll see
Bye.
you next week. Bye.